live. Wednesday Night with Those Guys and Wednesday Night with Those Guys is sponsored by those guys. Your mouse fell off the table.
Yeah, anyway, what's up? How are you, man? Let's introduce our guests before anything else bad happens.
Welcome, everybody, to Wednesday Night with Those Guys. And Wednesday Night with Those Guys is sponsored by Those Guys. And it is the home where we talk about everything in the world of drones and promote the use of drones. And tonight we are talking drones with Yifei Zhao from DroneDJ. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. We appreciate having you on. I watch your show on DroneDJ all the time. And Lawrence also watches, and he was like, yo, we should have her on. I was like, okay, make it happen. And
here I am.
Okay. Thanks for having you on. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Now, Lawrence, your mic is muted. Yeah, you're muted. Okay.
We can't hear you.
Lawrence will be back in. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you from watching you on DroneDJ, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to everyone. Let everybody know what you're like.
Okay. So I'm in Canada, just 20 minutes north of Toronto. I mean, theoretically, still the greater Toronto area, I guess. Okay. Started in drones. Actually, I started in drones back in 2011.
Oh, okay.
I came from film production with a film production background. So I've been in film for about 6 years at that time. And I was with a production company that was filming Newfoundland tourism commercials. Mm-hmm. So typically we get helicopters out, but that was the year we had some serious weather conditions that helicopters couldn't get out. So I was asked to contact actually the first drone company in Canada. They were based in Montreal. So I was asked to go hire them and send them to Newfoundland to help us get some aerial shots. Oh, okay. And that's when first time I saw a drone flying. Back then it was carrying a Canon C300. And because I was doing a lot of outdoor activities with my husband, Alex, he was a DP, he was a cinematographer. And we were always carrying, cranes and sliders going sort of remote off the grid. You're looking at carrying 20 kilograms of film gear, right? And you're still restricted by where the angle and, even with the slider, it's up to 1.5 meters at the most. Okay. So we thought, drones, great. If you wanted unlimited angles, then that's the way to go. So I'm not sure if you can see, but at the back, I still have actually the first drone we have, which is from X-Pro Heli back then. So it's a little aluminum quadcopter. Okay. That was the first one we put together and tried to fly. And then from there, build a few more and then got to the bigger free fly Sinistar 8 back then. So that was flying 10-pound payload, so your typical, Red Dragon, Alexa Mini at that time with a prime lens. That's what we were mostly using on film set. And then one thing led to another. We got brought on board by one of the local colleges in Toronto and said they wanted to build drone training. So they brought us in to help them build the program, and that's when we realized, training is fun. First it feels kind of the days when you're not on set. And then there was just a lot of interest as the technology picked up. So that's how we got started with training. And then a lot of clients came in, not from filming, actually from public safety, from construction, wanting to use drones for survey and monitoring. So we ended up helping them to kick off their programs after the government training program. And that's where we are now. So now we're really focused on overall solutions. So we train, we help, a lot of the commercial enterprise clients to get their equipment, get their operators trained, and set up their overall operations. Anything they like to do with drones, we help them, especially people with crazy ideas trying to do different things. It's the fun part. Always looking for the next challenge.
Okay. So Is that when you say training? Is that where like I know you have AlteX the Academy. Is that what you do there, or is what?
Yeah, so that's my main day-to-day job. Drone DJ is nice just to be connected with communities, like connected with you guys coming as guest hosts from time to time, and just nice to connect with communities, see what's out there. That's where we share news and different industry updates from Drone DJ. But yeah, my day-to-day is actually with AlteX Academy.
Okay.
We have a 70-acre site just north of Toronto, so that's where we do training, R&D, and all the fun things.
I wanted to. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
I wanted to talk about that a little more in a little more detail later, because
Well,
just for your 70-acre site, I would move to Canada just to fly there.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do for sure.
turn your volume up a little bit there, Lawrence.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
could we can talk about it right now, Lawrence, if you want to.
Okay.
So you said you're near Toronto.
Yeah, we're 20 minutes north from almost downtown Toronto.
Oh, okay.
What about now?
Yeah, that's pretty much Toronto.
Is that better?
I mean, here in New York, if I said I was 20 minutes north of
New York?
of New York, yeah, I'd be still in the city. Actually, without traffic, I'd be down the block.
Yeah, we're still the greater Toronto area. I mean, 20 minutes straight up on the highway, right? On a good day.
Yeah, can you we can hear you, Lawrence. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, so
Everything is fine.
so you can ask whatever it was you wanted to ask.
Okay. First of all, I don't know how land goes up in Canada, but here in New York, to open a business and have 70 acres for your business is a rarity.
Mm.
How is that acquirable in Canada?
It is a
how does it
rarity
work?
in Canada too. It took us 3 years to find the right partner to really secure the land. So luckily we were working with it's owned by a large Italian builder, and they've had the land for decades. Which they were using it. They were only using a very small portion to store, like any of their construction equipment out of season, things they weren't using. And we were doing some drone work with them. So that's when they got to know us. They were comfortable with us, and they heard that we're looking for a site. So it happened to be the right marriage. So the businesses decided to partner together, and that's how it worked.
Okay. Lawrence, still there?
I'm still here. I'm just tongue tied because I saw you. I watched your video on your on your website. I went to AlteX Academy, right? This is what I did. I actually went there. Let me show you guys real quick. Which, by the way, is designed and done very well. Did you have any input in that?
Oh, thank you. That's that I guess that's our film site speaking. We took some of that into building our website. All our pictures and visuals are all us.
Yeah, okay, all right. That's good because I was wondering. I was like, it's laid out very well. It's a simplistic site. It explains everything in detail, but it doesn't go overboard like some sites do. We can do this, we can do that, we can do that. We buy drones, we sell drones, we do it drone related, It's very simplistic and I like it.
A tiny planet.
Yeah. So I tried to do a little bit of homework. I noticed over here it says not sure which drone to buy. So can you say that you are a drone service provider in Canada?
We don't do service. So we train and we sell drones. So the reason we don't, we came from service side, but the reason we don't do service anymore is because we don't want to compete with our students and clients. Because essentially, it's a drone service provider, right, or operator that comes in, wants to get training, wants to buy a drone. We still do R&D to find out how things work. But we don't go out there to provide, drone service. We help people who do that. So if they run into questions, they need equipment, they need expertise, we can still help them.
But see, what I like specifically about I'm going to stop sharing it. I want to play that video in a few. But what I like about your site is you can put people and train people in real life situations because your land is so vast. you can show someone, a new pilot, what happens if your drone loses signal and has
We
to
actually do
return
that.
to
So we
home.
actually, one of the training curriculum is we send the drone far enough and we turn off the controller. I mean, it's supposed to return to home. Does it actually return to home?
Oh, that's good. That's good, because if I were getting into drones and I knew about AlteX Academy, if they had one down here in the States, you guys would probably make a killing. The only problem is finding all that land.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it took us 3 years to find I mean, there's tons of land. But I find people pretty private about their land. And it's funny because years ago, when we were looking for land, we had this crazy idea. There's so much empty land, not even empty land. There's so much, people who own a large property, like 10, 20 acres, and it's just their own house or something they have on there. So we thought, oh, what if we have like a drone Uber site, where all these people with extra land they don't need, we can build a platform and they can put their property on there. And if people go fly, they pay them a fee. Didn't really work. People are very private about their properties, not just in Canada, I guess in North America in general. They don't like having strangers just being able to go on their land and
No, that's
do anything.
understandable.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
that business idea
understandable.
didn't work out.
I just wanted to do one more thing, and you guys can finish chit-chatting, but I had your video from AlteX, the one that's actually on your site. Because I know she's like, oh no, what if they didn't say anything
Which
about
one
showing
did you
videos?
bring?
But I think it's a great introduction video. The problem is my mouse is doing what the hell it wants to do. As you guys saw before the stream, I had a problem doing certain things. And I'm just trying to queue up something, which is not working.
Well,
You guys go ahead and
what
talk.
I ask you is, what else do you do other than training there, on your site?
Because we're actually the only site in Canada that's really close to a major city. We actually have drone teams almost acting as tenant. They run our site for R&D. So they would come up. We have manufacturers that build different sensors. We have people testing different workflow or new drones. They would
use your
actually
facility?
rent the section from us to do their R&D.
Okay, that's good. That's nice. So you your students are just from like all of the say from like the fire department, the police department, and stuff like that are using drones.
A lot of construction. So a lot of construction, a lot of
Okay.
parks conservation, park rangers, a
Okay.
lot of your general film, right? Film, photography people.
That's interesting because here, a lot of people in the parks, they don't really get into the drones. I mean, I've had them ask me questions about drones, but they don't have them. And as far as the police department and construction, I mean, some companies have an in-house person, and then from the work that we do, companies hire companies like us to go and do their work for them, so they don't have to have the problems with that, because a lot of times it's usually tied in with the owners of the actual project.
Right.
They know nothing about drones. They just know they want.
Yeah.
And then it becomes
Makes liability easier.
to make them understand what they really want.
Right.
Because a lot of times they just want. I mean, I actually had a guy say to me, could you give me a quote for some staggered drone shots? I'm like, how do you want them staggered? Like, you want one over there and one over there? I mean, like, I don't understand what you want. So we had to, it took a while to get to an understanding of what he really wanted.
Exactly. I think I have the video queued up.
So they see it, but they don't know exactly what they want until you start talking to them.
Yeah, I guess all depends on clients. We had to educate client quite a bit too, because a lot of them saw, a nice marketing video from, let's say, a manufacturer that says our equipment can do this, but there's a pretty big gap from what the equipment or software or technology can do to
Uh-huh.
what you can do when you use it, right? So what we like to say is we're there to fill the gap, and then plus you want to do your own R&D and the self-learning, going through the steep learning curves to get there, or do you want to work with someone who knows what they're doing and then speed up the learning curve?
Yeah, true.
Okay, I just wanted to interrupt real quick for people who have gotten here a little late. For those of you who don't know who our guest is, it's Yifei Zhao from DroneDJ. She's part of AlteX Academy. I think the video should play with sound. I don't know. You guys will let me know if you can hear it or not. In the chat, look in the chat, Herman. Let me know if they can hear it,
Okay.
because right now I don't hear anything.
I
So
don't
I
have
don't,
anything
and
either.
in which case we go to alternate plan B, and Yifei Zhao can explain her video to
Voiceover.
us.
I don't
Yeah,
hear
so that's
anything
that's from last year. We actually had some additions in terms of structures and indoor facility this year. So it had some updates.
Well, it didn't go as planned, but I wanted the guys, if you want to check out this video, you have to go to AlteX Academy website. The video's on their website. Scroll down, check it out to see what they do. Basically, this shows this is your property right here.
Yeah.
If I pause it, correct?
Yeah.
Now, what I like is this is almost like here in the States what we would call an AMA airfield.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you have your little runway of grass going
Yeah.
through here. It looks where you could use manned aircraft. Do you have manned aircraft come to you?
No, we're strictly
I mean, not manned. I'm sorry, winged aircraft. I'm
fixed
sorry.
wing. I've had the Wintra, but we're strictly VTOL. So even Wintra with fixed wing, but they do VTOL and then they convert to fixed wing, right?
Okay.
Wow, some nice land out there.
This is what I'm saying. I mean, I would act like I don't know how to fly a drone, so I could go by there and fly some FPV and hang out and stuff with all that land. I'm a
every
cruiser
month
anyway.
every month we have at least one fun day when people are just welcome to come in, fly, and practice.
See. You guys here in the United States, somebody needs to come up with something like this. We had, like I said, we have our AMA airfields, and they're okay, and it suggested you become a member of with the airfield and things like that. But with laws here in New York, who wants to fly in a circle that may be the radius, a 75-foot radius circle?
Where is that?
I'm talking about the golf course, the place where you can only go straight up because the trees are too tall.
That's not an airfield. That's not an airfield. That's just so they can say they have one.
Yeah.
And you know what? What they have now with the whole FRIA and everything like that, with no one actually using that spot, will the AMA really apply for it again?
I don't know. I hope not.
It's
Yifei, if you were to see this place, you imagine, close your eyes and imagine you're standing in the center of a 75-foot radius circle. And this is supposed to be an AMA airfield. Now, I understand back in the day when they had tethered planes, you would spin in a circle like this, and that's how they flew. But they suggest you go there if you're a drone pilot, and all you can do is, because the trees are decades old, all you can do is just go straight up, look at the cemetery, look towards the park, and then come back down. You couldn't even go anywhere, but they call it an AMA airfield.
I don't know if you guys follow, because we have the equivalent in Canada, the MAC, Model Aeronautics Association of Canada, and they've been grounded since the end of last year.
Right.
Because Transport Canada revoked their exemptions, so they're still going through that.
So, Lawrence.
Yes.
So you're good now with the volume and everything?
No, but let's keep going. When in Rome, you become Roman.
Okay. I hear you. I hear you. So is there anything else that you wanted to ask before we continue on?
What is your oldest drone over your shoulder?
Oh, my oldest one.
Because she said the
Let me
first
see
one
if I can
start
grab
right there.
Oh,
in the
I,
top. Yeah, there we are.
yeah, I was
X
having technical difficulties.
Oh
X
yeah,
Pro
that's
Heli.
okay.
And I did hear how long you were flying. Do you build?
Yeah, they built that big boy.
Well, I
No,
guess
no, I'm
technically,
asking, do you
did I?
build?
No,
Yeah.
technically speaking, I'm not the technical person. Our technical
Okay.
team is better. I mean, strictly speaking, I'm more of the salesperson. I'm supposed to sell
Okay.
our services. And
Okay.
I always say I get to deal with the boring part because I get to deal with Transport Canada. So
Okay,
that's the
you
fun
learn
part.
the soft skills.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
the
See,
patience, the patience and diplomacy. Although I'm not the most diplomatic person out there,
Herman
really.
and I have that soft skills relationship. He has the better soft skills than mine. Mine are take a mallet to it and look at it later, you know. But
Yeah,
I understand.
we all have someone like that. I got volunteered. It's not by choice.
You know, I like to practice soft skills because I'm learning from Herman day by day. But then there's just times I'm like, you know, that little, there was a cartoon character called Calvin. There's a little boy. They always have racing cars. They have stickers of him on their window of him
Mhm.
pissing on like Toyota or a car name. You know, them I feel like that sometimes. I just Herman
Well,
has
I
better
think
soft skills than
we
I.
all feel like that, right? It's just can you bite your tongue depending on who you're talking
But
to.
see, my facial expressions make it hard for me. So someone says, "How do you
Oh,
like
you
it?"
can
And
put
I'm
on a poker
saying,
face.
"Yeah, yeah." I have a very bad. I could not play poker. Definitely not. I no. I would lose every time. I don't play poker for
Oh, so
that reason.
they would know you have no cards in your hand.
Exactly. Someone would ask me, "How does this taste?" And I would think it tastes like crap, and I'd be like, "It's good," you know.
So
But
as you
anyway,
greet them with a handful of napkins in
I
the other
just I just want to give a quick shout out real quick to the people in the chat because I'm sorry I'm having audio issues. We're
hand.
actually doing winging this half computer and half phone. But one visionarial visual line of sight travels with Rosie, Andy Cortez over on the other side of the world. Um, Rob should be waking up. STM drones, Draymond recovery. We have a few lurkers. We always have lurkers. You guys click that like button, please. I did mention
Hit
travels
the
with
like button.
Rosie,
Hit the like button.
Matt Bagwell, Flyby Guy, Merrill, and who else? Who else? Jody, Drone Shots,
Mhm.
Steven from the Flyby Guys in Finland. He's listening in also.
Okay, Steven's
John
here.
Olson, Jeff Norman. We know Jeff lurks. Russell Glerum. Hello to everyone, and everyone meet Yifei Zhao from Drone
From Drone
DJ.
DJ.
And I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on because I mentioned to Herman months ago. I said I would like to have her on the live stream. And he was like, well, go for it. And I was like, nah, she'll never do it. Hey, Barkley, what's good? Waypoint, New England. Chad B.
Buckley.
Drone Guy 42. How are you guys? Like I mentioned a bit, the second half of our live stream was a little better. Rattle Trap Fishing. Yes, I saw you. I'm sorry. Steven Drones. They get insulted if you do not mention everybody. I apologize. I'm having tech issues. Brooklyn Jimmy, he's lurking. He's
Hey
here.
man, what's going on, man? Brooklyn
You
Jimmy.
guys keep clicking that like button. This is Drone DJ's page. They do a live stream. If you can say the times.
We try every Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Not guaranteed every week. 3 out of the 4 weeks we're there, but one of the weeks if my co-host
Okay, all right.
isn't
Thank you very
available.
much. But I usually when you guys come on, I work part-time, so I'm like lurking in the background, trying to listen to you guys while doing work, which is not always easy. But you guys are consistent. You do come on, you do like we do drone stories and things like that. And I'm guessing we can lead into something now, Herman.
Well, I wanted to ask everyone, did you see that thing on Twitter? I saw it a few days back. But they posted, was it Igor posted the picture of the DJI watch, and I think it was a caption of like being of the DJI watch. Why was it put on the shelf?
Yeah,
We saw that
Yeah, I'm
quite some
seeing that
time
now.
ago. Yeah, we saw that quite some time ago, and it never went anywhere. That DJI watch.
I was wondering what happened and why he brought it back. They chose to
Yeah.
let him bring it back up. I'm
Well,
pulling up a picture of it now,
I
real
don't
quick. Give
know
me
if
a
it
second.
means anything, but I just thought it was interesting to just mention.
It probably doesn't. It probably doesn't. But you know how DJI is? They are great at teasers. You know, everyone is so busy. Was so busy going ooh and ah. If you remember over the Mavic 2 Pro, and they had an Osmo Pocket in the background.
Right.
You know, so they
Well, they
are
do that, and it's
the
funny because
deceivers of the world.
we talk about them all the time here about how DJI does it. And like I told you before,
Here it is.
this guy Igor, the other guy there, Osita.
So just
LP.
reading the text
Osita
down there.
55. What's that?
Reading the text down there, it sounds like it could fly a drone.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I see
'Cause
the
it says
joystick.
connect. It says connect to your aircraft.
Exactly.
That's what it's really.
Yeah, because that's what they were saying when it first came out, or when we first saw it a couple
I
of years
remember
or so ago.
they were hinting at being able to fly your drone.
Right.
I mean,
And
that would be my
watch.
guess too. Otherwise, why do you want the DJI watch? It's got to have some connection to their drones, right?
Right. And then we all saw leaks about the what is it now, the Air 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm not saying that this is, I'm not trying to spread no rumors. I just said that it came up, and I'm wondering, like, why did it come back up again? We'll look out for more on it if there's anything else to be on.
Yeah, if something's out there, somebody will find it. If you guys at Drone DJ won't, Twitter will release something. It's just a matter of time.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, give me a second.
I'm just saying that, it came up and I saw it, and I was just wondering if it's something that is to go anywhere,
It could be. Well, from what I understand, DJI has a way of showing you something without showing you something.
Yeah, exactly. And then next thing you know is that, hey, I saw that somewhere. It was sitting on the table when they were looking at the other thing.
Right. Like this is why I pay attention to the picture, because it shows a hand, it shows the watch, and then it shows stars on the ground, like it was some cheap carpet background or something that they were using. And that's what makes me a little weary.
But they kind of went away from that when they got Osita 55 LV, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, Osita 55, and
yeah, and deals. And these guys now is their marketing promotion, and they put it out there and let everybody run with it.
Yeah.
But Lawrence, we gotta we spoke last week on some stuff, and we're gonna touch on that in a second, but we got a break for our sponsor.
We can, but due to technical difficulties, we have to do it. We have to do it manually.
No problem, because as everyone knows, Wednesday Night with Those Guys is sponsored by
those guys. You gotta excuse us. We're our own sponsors, so we do everything. Yifei.
That's okay. No, I've done enough shameless self promotions to understand.
We don't have a budget yet to hire a camera guy and point at us while we do some B-roll and things like that.
We'll talk about shameless promotion. That's funny. No,
well, if you want to build your own business, I guess you can't. You have to wear a thick fist. That's what I always like to say.
Yeah, you get it. I totally understand. For those of you who have not checked out Yifei's website, it's AlteX Academy. If you're in the Toronto area, I know we have people from Canada who watch the live stream.
If you're in Canada, period.
Right, that would become a sponsor.
See some of that from the chat.
If you're in Canada, period, the property is large enough that you might walk out your house and be on the property anyway.
There's the site link in the chat right
Yes,
there
please check it out. Check them out on Drone DJ.
on
DJ on
Friday
Fridays.
mornings.
They do a very nice live stream.
And if anybody has any questions in the chat, feel free to type them in. Since I'm having other issues, I can at least read the chat.
Or you can see the chat. So you're good.
Yeah,
then.
I have all. Yeah, I'm fine.
You're
That's
good. See, you're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good. All right, but like I said last week, we spoke about hold on a second. This is bothering me here. House bill here in the U.S. House bill was it 2864?
okay.
Yeah, an amendment to the security and trust commercial was it yeah, to Communications Networks Act of 2019. Now, what they were saying something about the DJI equipment proposes a national security risk because everybody is worried about what could possibly happen to the data that's captured. And it's been made an issue, and a lot of states have come up with their little bans and stuff like that. And everybody has proposed the fact that maybe DJI needed to manufacture in the United States. And my question is, does DJI need to manufacture in the United States? And if so, how much? Do you think do you think that would stop this problem with DJI? With them being banned everywhere?
I'm going to be nice about it and say you only talk about things like this when it's a political and election year. Usually you don't hear stuff like this, but it's all about money. It's all about who you can get money from, who you can get to back you during your political reign or whatever you want to call it. And to be honest, they tried to do the same thing with TikTok. They tried to bully TikTok into saying, we're not going to let you be played here in the United States under conditions that you're ruining our children's brains and all that data is being sent back to your. It's stupidity to me. I'm being honest.
I hear what you're saying. You know, I mean,
I'm pulling up that Drone DJ page now.
I'm just curious to know because that is a question that is proposed.
But hold on, I didn't answer your question though, because if you ask, is it worth building here in the United States or doing something so the United States can get off your back? No.
Well, it has gone beyond the point of to say that it's just political, and it is, and we know, but you have states that have banned the usage of such said product for their police department, and
because they claim that you cannot. They claim information is being sent back to Asia or wherever, to China,
right?
But they've never been able to prove it.
Understandable, but the ban is still in place in these states, such as like Florida. You know, everybody talks about Arkansas, but Arkansas has Arkansas, I thought, was very loosely based because
I guess my question is, say if DJI gave in and says they're building a manufacturing states, is that going to stop the ban and the accusation and the political conflicts?
Well, see, that's the thing. I think that at one point before all of this, there was a time when DJI and Parrot and all these other companies were in that same situation.
Yes.
And I think it was a get down or lay down situation, whereas that they wanted them to work on government products and not where DJI's bread and butter was in the consumer industry. You know, and although they do have an enterprise line where it can be used, and they have a government edition that can be used for these same needs that they.
But as an overall company, enterprise is still a small part of their
Right.
their
Exactly.
total revenue or profit margin. I agree.
Exactly. Look, my thing is, and like I said, with the question is that say, would that help them? Would that take the ban off? I mean, the whole thing is that everybody else is still made where they're made, but they're just assembled here. You know, so when they start talking that with the ban, with it, you know, with manufacturing here, I think it's gone beyond the point of waiting them out, because you're actually being banned in one state and it's starting to carry over to other states. You know, and I don't know how large of a market that is for them. You know, and that they don't care, but how far can they actually go with it?
I saw a post on LinkedIn. I can't remember specifically, but it was one of the influencers on. I believe that was an ex-communications director for DJI, who left DJI last year and moved on. But he shared a post saying, what happens if they choose to adopt or use drones that are not DJI and their technologies aren't as advanced, and they're in the drones for good situation, they're trying to save someone's lives? And what if the choice comes down to, if you use DJI can save someone's life, and if you use somebody else it can't? What do you do?
Well, see, that is the issue, and I think that when some of these states came up with this idea, and like Laura said, being political, you did it with no thought process, no acts, no without the people who are actually using the product to give their input on this and their insight.
And I complain about DJI taking too much of a market share all the time. From a user perspective, I want to see options. I want to see competition. Otherwise, it's not good for any one manufacturer to take up that much market share. So I like to see more support to manufacturers or competitors producing better products. And I think the solution is have better products, and that would put pressure on DJI for having better accountability for their data accuracy. Yes, one side is there should be something proven to show, hey, there's data leak. But on the other side, if I look at a company as that big, I think they also have some corporate responsibility to not just come out and say, hey, that's wild accusation, but maybe have something concrete to show that you do take actions against data leak.
No, you're absolutely right, and we've said that here a few times, because when I say propose the fact that, because it's gone beyond the fact of it's about money, because they've been banned. So, and if other states take this on, it can get to a problem where that now it's in 6 states, 7 states, 8 states, and then it becomes a situation where it's more or less more than about money, because are they going to reverse that ban? What would make them reverse that ban? And like I said, people talk about manufacturing, but the one thing about manufacturing here is that it would drive the cost up.
How much are you willing to pay? I mean, you guys are already paying higher than us. We tested this several times. If I go to DJI website, my price is actually showing higher than if you have a US IP address, and if you open DJI website, you guys are already paying higher price than us in Canada.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. If you use any kind of VPN and then just try to change your VPN location to Canada, you see the price is different.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't know that. So what's the price on, say,
let's test this.
A Inspire 3
or the Mavic 3 Pro?
All right, let's
Mavic 3
see
Pro.
Mavic 3 Pro first. Mavic 3 Pro, buy now. And I'm still seeing US price too. So Mavic 3 Pro with DJI RC, that first option there, for me is $2049. How much is it for you?
$2,199.
Yep, there you go. That's $150 difference. See, coming to Canada isn't that bad idea, right?
Yeah, but then what would I pay to get it out of the country?
Hey Herman, Andy Cortez wants to come on. I was trying to explain to him that we had a format already.
Well, we could work out something for next week or something like that. I mean,
Okay. All right. Okay. Travels with Rosie was asking the same thing, how to get on the stream. So I was telling to email you, and
mhm. Okay.
his
Yeah, just
Travels with Rosie goes Canada rules.
well, I see. I see. There's a lot of things going on in Canada I don't know about. We talk about that, but I mean, like, say the price, the cost would drive up because of the cost that you would have to pay American workers in manufacturing. But if the removal of tariffs off of products coming into the country, because that was one of the issues that they cried by the increase on the price with one of the increases on the price with the newer drones that were coming out. Remember, everyone cried that a couple of years ago because I think Autel was the first one to increase their prices, and DJI was trying to undercut them, but Autel went so high that undercutting them was easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember it. It's funny how over the years, I mean, Yifei, you've been in drones a lot longer than I have, obviously. And I brag about my little 7.5, 8 years flying, and then you go back to before DJI, damn near pre-DJI.
I mean, we still use DJI parts. We still use their Wukong system, and before Wukong, I can't even remember. We still use their system.
It's over the years I've seen so much happen, and over the years it's almost like they preach in the Bible. God is coming back. He's going to save you all. It's sort of like that with drones. It's like they're going to stop us from flying. You know how many years I've been hearing that? And we're still flying, aren't we? They're going to make it work. UTMs, everything. They're going to make it all work. Trust me.
Yeah, believe it or not. You know what's the one thing I always mention in our first drone class? What was that first rule when it came to car industry? Right, when cars just started going on the road, when people used to horse carriages, there was the red sign or something about holding a red sign like 30 yards in front of the car on the road so it wouldn't spook the horses. And then look what we have now. So I think being optimistic is not a bad thing.
Well, you know what? You're right about that. And I say to you, yeah, I do keep optimistic, but the bands are there. The bands aren't going anywhere, and the bands will start to increase because it started with one.
And that's usually how it is.
And now there's about 3 of them, and that's more than just about money from the constituents. That's now about money from the companies. You see what I'm saying to you? Because
I mean, is it fair to do that? No, it's probably not. But from a country's interest, can I understand that? I can, and I hope the better outcome is I hope that will give a head start to a potential competitor that will make a better product and cheaper. Maybe better for all of us as an operator. Maybe that's the good outcome.
Well, see, here's the thing. I haven't seen all of the companies, right, that were making consumer drones when DJI was making consumer drones before this blue UAS list. None of them make consumer drones anymore.
True.
They all make a government.
Well, then let me ask you, how long can they keep the ban up if there isn't a proper alternative?
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't want to be the one to say it, but when I see stuff like what's being proposed here in New York, and when I look at what the FAA is doing with the whole FRIA thing, I don't think that they expect to see hobbyists flying over the East River or over, places that if you flying there, you should be flying there for a reason, not just because I want to or I'm having fun.
Right.
Then they want those guys that fly as recreational to fly in specific places that's designated
Well,
for.
then they should create those specific places. Like the AMA one you guys just talked about, if people don't actually have fun when they go there, it's not going to work, right? They will find somewhere else to go.
Well, that is true. And that's, I think that is, see, that is the thing that no one has ever talked about when it comes to a drone.
Excuse me 1 second.
I can go fly over there in that FRIA in that park, but for how long? It's like the baby bird in the nest. Yeah, I can't fly now, but when I can, I'm going straight to that mountain over there. You know, and that's the problem with a drone. It can't be confined to a park.
You don't really have, I mean, yes, you have geofencing you can set on the drone, but how many people are using that when you're in the park? Because, I mean, let's face it, if you want to get some nice video, nice pictures, you don't decide that on the ground. You take off, you get a look, you see what's up there, and then you kind of decide, oh, let's go take a look over there. And then before you know it, you're 200-300 meters away.
Exactly. And that's the issue. That's the thing with a drone. And I think that sometimes when some of these things are proposed, that it hurts because it's not focused on where it actually, where this is actually going and what the mindset and the reality of the actual process is.
And trust me, from professional standpoint, I don't encourage people to just go fly because they want to fly and they're having fun. I encourage people going out with a purpose, for sure. But having said that, you know, the beauty of this industry, or a lot of the innovations in this industry, it's because those people who just went out and wanted to see what they can do, right?
You're right. And you know what? Okay, I was taking some shots for a construction site. And I'm trying to get the shots of the construction site, and I keep moving over, and I'm like, why do you keep doing that? Because the other side of you still wants to get the sky and everything in the background and get it
Your
nice
composition
and lined up and everything. Why are you doing that? Just take a picture of what is on the ground.
It's true. It's very hard to take pictures and not be that perfect photographer. You got to remember you're there to get pictures of a subject and get out and go on to the next job. And sometimes you're like, well, okay, they asked for 16 photos. Let me shoot 25, 30, just in case.
No, but the whole thing about manufacturing and moving manufacturing, and I've always said this about whole ecosystem, and being able to do it seamlessly, and I've watched the quality of products destroy once they move the manufacturing from one place to another. I've seen it happen in construction material. I've seen it happen with Volkswagen, Mercedes.
Yeah, people complain about car qualities. I've seen that too.
Yeah, once you start moving them but the thing is that this is not the first time I've seen this, because you talk about how deep this has got, right? To the point of bans. But I remember when, what was it? Foxconn.
Mm-hmm.
When they were the first one that a lot of people might not know, but because it's not about drones, but that was the first company that I remember them going after with the whole Made in America thing. And I think they used Foxconn to bamboozle some of the American people when we talk about just being political and for money, as Lawrence was saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you who don't know who Foxconn is, they are well, I'm going to tell you what you would find on the internet if you were to Google them. They're the world's largest electronics manufacturer. And for those of you who don't know some of the products that they manufacture or who they manufacture for, you do know the names such as Apple, Sony, Panasonic, Nokia. They build the Xbox and the PlayStation, and Sharp televisions. So in 2017, Foxconn Technologies Group, they announced that they had interest in coming to the state of Wisconsin And on was it June 28 of 2018, President Trump and then Governor Scott Walker and the chairman from Foxconn and the Speaker of the House, they all met for a big groundbreaking ceremony over there in Wisconsin to build this factory to build sharp televisions, because we need them made in America.
Yeah.
And this, as if you ask the people of Wisconsin, from what they know now today, that this was only a political ploy to get this governor reelected.
Yes.
So these are the kind of games like what Lawrence was talking about. And I mentioned before, guys want to talk about the things that they facing with these bills, and they don't want to talk about politics, but it's always about politics, you know, and
How much of this is actually about caring for the drone pilots?
right, nobody cares about you. I just want money.
Mm-hmm.
I just need the money, and I need to make a facade and everything, you know. But you know, Foxconn is going to build televisions. They're going to build sharp televisions in Wisconsin. They were going to build televisions.
They were supposed to.
Yes, because Foxconn officials, right? Or well, Foxconn, right. They were offered over $3 billion in tax incentives for a $10 million investment, a $10 billion investment that was supposed to bring 13,000 jobs. Right now, from what I'm from, and I don't see, and I only bring this up because I wanted to let guys know that a lot of times that, you know, just if you dig deep enough, or if you actually read the newspaper, well, you don't have newspapers no more, but if you check it out what's going on, you'll see some of the things and see how actually why it's just smoke and mirrors out there.
It is, because this is an image of that I'm pulling up of the area that now they've relocated people. They moved people.
Yeah,
They
use
tore
eminent domain.
towns up. They tore up this whole area to build it and supposedly do all these fantastic things here in
Yeah,
Wisconsin, wherever.
they did use eminent domain to move people from their property. And it's crazy because what was it, February 21st, 2019,
Mhm.
Wisconsin Public Radio, from a distributor from Wisconsin had one of their distributors from Foxconn reported that about the challenging issues, talking
Mhm.
about from being on this site, that it's like check this out. It's like, he said, it's like building an airplane while flying it and redesigning it. That
Well,
means they
first of
have
all,
no infrastructure in Wisconsin to build these products.
it's funny you say that, because I wouldn't mess with someone who's trying to build something and fly it at the same time. I don't know about you, but that's a real contradictory. It's an oxymoron.
Mhm.
If you get what I'm saying.
No, I
I
just think it is weird that, you know, we talk about manufacturing and do they need to manufacture?
Listen,
You
this
know
was
what?
the only structure that they built
Watch
on
what I'm
this
gonna tell you.
freaking. Go
And
ahead.
here's my take on it. Yeah, do I think DJI needs to manufacture here in the United States to probably stop this issue? Maybe it would help them, maybe it won't. What kind of facilities could you produce here to keep the costs for your consumers at a reasonable price? You know,
Right.
what do you
And
do? Ship pre-fabricated or module drones that they just have to snap certain things together and box it and send it off?
Now,
right, see
here's another perspective. I guess overall as a country, how much of your labor or your employment force you'd like to keep in manufacturers, or how many would you like to train them in, you know, say more advanced skills in doing something else, and keep the manufacturing where the cost is lower and labor is cheaper? I mean, essentially it's your overall concept, right? Do you want your citizens to get better education, more advanced skills, working at better environment, nicer offices instead of sitting on the assembly line, right? Like why are we focusing so much of employment on having them in manufacturers? I never get that.
Well,
Okay,
you know
go
why?
ahead.
Because originally that was the idea. What you mentioned, that was originally the idea. But we've seen how throughout the over the years that it's not working.
Right. That's what actually got
We
up all
become
the
too big
funding
of a
money,
consumer.
the donations and everything. That's what got all that money up by saying we're going to hire 130,000, 13,000 people. People are going to vote. They're going to say, let's get this guy back in office. He's trying to bring jobs to our state or our province, whatever. And we got to get this guy in there. Hey, Angie. And the exact opposite happened. The exact opposite happens. And in fact, the only thing that they built on that entire property is this dome, which was supposed to be some super
For the
warehouse.
headquarters, that was supposed to be their headquarters for
Yes. They built a
Yeah.
headquarters
So
for something that doesn't
where's
exist.
accountability? Who's held accountable?
Well, here's the
Here
thing.
it is.
I mean, you got a couple of security guards and stuff over there, and a
Yeah.
few people there, and what are they doing?
And
No
what,
one
15
knows.
cars and a golf cart and on the screen.
You know, no one knows. As you know, people are continuously dealing with a couple of families still fighting for the property up until a couple of years ago.
Right.
Their properties to, but they've had to been, like I said, relocated. And if you check out Wisconsin radio, you can hear some of the reports and some of the stuff on what's happening over there. It really is no accountability, to the point where now Microsoft is interested in buying some of the property for them to invest more of the people's tax money into this project. So it is about your money, people, and don't get it twisted. You know, I would like to talk more about drones and not about
Politics.
Yeah, but I just had to point that direction because it is what you think it is. You're muted again on Zoom, Lawrence, if you can hear me. Move away from the controls once you fix it. Oh, he disappeared again. Uh-oh.
Oh, did we
Yeah, he disappeared. Did we
lost Lawrence again?
Mm-hmm. But the other thing that I was looking at was, and this is one thing that come up, was I saw an article, Part 108 and Beyond Visual Line of Sight flight. When will it happen, and what will it look like? What do you think?
I don't know if you follow Canada. Actually, in Canada, we've gone through the Notice of Proposed Amendment, which is your proposed rule. So that's already gone through. We're actually waiting just for Beyond Visual Line of Sight to be published this year.
Okay.
And we would have essentially additional licensing class as Beyond Visual Line of Sight license. So a drone pilot can go get that license, get that rating, and they can fly limited, lower risk beyond visual line of sight. There are going to be conditions. So, I mean, to me, it would be interesting because Canada and US had been sort of on the same page regarding drone rules. So usually it's, the two countries would release similar rules. So I wonder if this is going to be similar when Canada releases our BVLOS this fall. Would something similar happen in States?
Well, I suppose, but they're so far behind right now with this because I was in one of the articles I was looking at, and talking about, kicking off, that engineering drone robotics summit. They had a few gentlemen there that spoke on it and where it was going and the ARC's proposals and the rulemaking and everything is, and once again, about the money, because the stakeholders and things like that and what needs to be done. And I remember years back when I first heard about Beyond Visual Line of Sight, it was about the technology. The technology needed to be there before it could happen. And now the technology is there because companies have gotten these waivers and shown that they can actually make it happen. And, and they actually knew that it can happen because of the same people that they fight to keep out of the airspace have been doing it for years without any problems, which are the hobbyists.
Real quick, Herman, Raymond had pointed something out. He says, now the problem we are facing is, as of late, the second-sided front to limit drone flights. Do we fight at the local level or advocate solely at the federal level?
That becomes an issue where you're fighting at both levels because the federal level is never going to hear you until you bring it to them. They don't even care about your fights on the local level, it seems like, because it seems like every time we turn around, we have, Ryan here talking about another case and another case and another case.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't ever hear the FAA saying, we're stepping in and you can't do that. Guys are fighting locally, so I guess.
Well, like your local rules in New York that prevent you from takeoff and landing in the city of New York, right? How do you take that up? I don't imagine you can take that up federally. I mean, I guess you have to deal with it at the local level.
Yes, exactly. And what's funny about that? They mentioned a new ruling proposal too, but right now, I can guarantee you, if you stop 50 officers on the same corner, if you see 50 come by in an hour, and ask them about it, they don't know what
No one's enforcing it.
No, they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Forget about enforcing it. They don't know what you're talking about.
Now, okay, so here's my next question. When you're flying your drone, what's your ratio of looking at the drone versus looking at your screen?
Depends on what I'm doing.
Right. Now, how often do you find, even if you use RC Pro, how often do you find that if you're staying in a nice shaded area where maybe you can see your drone, but you see your screen much better with all your system information, telemetry data, your obstacle avoidance information, that's making your flight, could be safer than physically looking at the drone? Can you visually measure the distance between the drone to the tree? Do you measure that, or do you look at your obstacle avoidance sensor?
Give or take.
I look at both, and I tell you why. Because we fly here in the city, and when you're looking at the controller, you've already judged that you're in open space. So if you're in open space, then yes, you have a lot of open space to do what it is that you're doing. You don't have to worry about the only thing that I do worry about is birds. And that's the most that I worry about. Yeah, birds. Because the situational awareness, I'm in a lot of open space. The drone doesn't need that much of a radius to do its maneuvers. And the only thing I would worry about is if there was another guy doing the same thing that I was doing, 2 blocks over that way.
True.
Right. So I mean, those are what the argument we've put up with, like here in Canada, with Transport Canada on Beyond Visual Line of Sight, is let's say a lot of our clients are construction, and they work on closed sites. Right. So in the wintertime or when weather isn't nice, they're doing program flights. Unlike if you're doing creative shot, you're going between things, wires, etc. But construction, they have a preset height, like 60, 70 meters, and they're doing their grid line over there. So I can't tell you how many pilots who are just sitting in their truck with the heat blasting when it's cold, and the drone is just out there doing its thing.
Taking pictures, right?
Yeah. So our argument was beyond visual line of sight. They've got to classify different types of beyond visual line of sight. Are we talking about long range delivery, taxi, like what Amazon wants to do? Or are we talking about taking what people already do on a daily basis and allow them to maybe sit in their truck, sit in their construction trailer, right, to do that and do it safely?
Yifei, I totally understand exactly what you're saying, and Lawrence, to clarify, she's not talking about taking off from Owl's Head Park and flying to Bayonne.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed. Ife, I have a question. Someone in the chat, Travels with Rosie. She says, with Canada's airspace becoming more restrictive, can you speak as to us as operators wanting to travel for work from the UK?
So actually, Canada's airspace is not becoming restricted. The rules here are fairly simple. So if you want to fly here, you get a drone pilot license or pilot certificate as a pilot. And you can fly either in, so if you have your advanced rating, you can fly anywhere you like. If you fly in controlled airspace, which is closer to a major airport, we have an app. We have the NAV Canada's drone app. So you set up your account, 90% of the time is instantaneous approval. So all you have to do is set up your account, pick where you want to fly, submit the request. And unless you're across the street from the runway, which you need coordination with the tower, but if you can work with the tiered level with the different, altitude restrictions, then it's real-time approval. You submit it, you filed it, you're good to go. So if you go through the proper licensing program, there are no restrictions really. Even if you want to fly in restricted airspace, which would be military, parliament, like people doing parachuting, aircraft testing, you deal with what we call the controlling agency, right? So whoever is controlling that airspace, you go to them and ask for approval, basically.
Okay, so it's very similar to here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What it sounds like.
Yeah, I think both US and Canada have very similar rules. It's just a lot of times the government didn't make those rules very clear. I mean, we can agree on that. So
that part we can agree on.
So either you're a pretty good, aviation lawyer to go read because if you read the regulations, like rules, they're usually notwithstanding subsection, 6.23 and blah, blah, blah. So you can't just look at that one section as this rule. You have to know the wordings, how it reflects on under the classes and under the other subsections. So it's definitely not very easy to read. But I can say overall, if you get your license, you can fly. Just make sure if you fly in controlled airspace, just follow the app to get the approval. And it really isn't complicated. If you go through the learning curve of doing it a couple of times, it takes me less than a minute to submit a flight approval now. So,
You know what? The Draymond mentioned something, and I have to agree with him. He says, I never feel comfortable sitting in a vehicle. I just feel a need to be out, be visible, no matter how percentage of how much I want the drone or the screen. I watch the drone or the screen. And I agree with you. For some reason, I feel I have to stand and I need to be pointed in the direction of the drone. Herman and I fly a lot here, Yifei, and we've asked guys, where are you? And he goes,
oh, trust me,
that's
me. I'm very OCD. I don't even like I fly my Evata. I set up my HDMI out to a tablet. I fly my Evata watching the tablet. That's how much I don't like not having my peripheral vision on what's actually happening around my drone. But also half of my team love flying off the goggles. Half of my team love taking a risk, sitting in their car or staying under a shelter to fly. It's just people are different, right?
I can't do it.
Okay, it Travels with Rosie again. She comes back. She says, the gatekeeping is true. As an opt, I just want to fly and film. What are the rules? I don't want to read rules.
Get your license. So get your license. You have to take an online
certification
exam.
to fly there. Yeah.
Or use Mini 3 Pro.
You know what?
Just use
well,
the
see, Herman and I had
drone.
mentioned that, Yifei.
You know what's funny about that? You know what's funny about that? That is, and I like that, and I respect that, because I think there's so many people that feel the same way about the whole thing, and not just in Canada, but here in the United States. I don't want to go through reading all of the rules. Just tell me what I have to do and just get it over with. And that's that. I think that's the issue with
what I say to our students when they first ask, what are the rules? Why do I need to take an online exam?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell them, okay, if you want to drive a car, like let's say if I go down to States and I want to drive the car, right? I want to have the freedom of getting myself wherever and whenever I want. The first thing I'm going to check is traffic rules. Like the least I should do is at least I should know how to read traffic lights, rate the speed limit, right? Know what I can I drink, how many drinks can I have before I can drive? So at least know the rules. So again, like I always like to say, do it safely, but that's just me. So you can say, hey, don't tell me the rules. I just want to fly. Then as long as you're willing to take the risks of that.
You know why I'm laughing? Because I was trained as an electrician. I was going through trade school, and we work in the field, and we have practical at school and college and everything. And guys, when we were learning, they were like, "Why do I need to know how to wire a transformer?" The transformer comes made from the factory. It's the one that's on the billing list. I'm installing it. Just tell me where I need to put the black wire and the red wire, please. And I'm like, that's the guy that's gonna blow up the building.
I agree with you.
You know,
I do agree with you.
Well, you know
Gary,
what? On that sense, I finished high school in China before I came to Canada. Right? I can't tell you how many times in our math class and in our physics class, how many times I've asked, why do I need to know how to calculate the friction or the time, the gravity, the time it will take for a ball to drop from certain height? Like, I'm never going to do that. Once I leave school, I'm never going to use that for the rest of my life. But when I started working with colleges to build curriculum, I have to say certain things are built to help you to understand the concept of how things work. You don't have to do that. You probably never need that piece of knowledge for the rest of your life. But it helps sometimes just to have a general idea.
true. You're right. But from like when I'm looking at with beyond visual line of sight and was that part 108? It seems like that's what the issue is now too. Here, nobody has any direction on where it's going. And
because the first thing, I did like the statement, like the article you shared with me. I did like the first statement in there that says, develop acceptable risk levels.
Yes.
I mean, what are the risk levels? Because let me tell you what I had to go through in Canada for BVLOS. I had to get City of Toronto, like a government department. They have a water intake that's several kilometers into Lake Ontario. So the idea is simple. They want to send a drone, several kilometers there, take a look before deciding if the condition of the water is bad so that they will send a boat out. Simple enough, right?
Okay.
So they reached out to us and said, how can we do this? Well, if you go more than 1.5 kilometers away, TC said they don't believe you can still visually see the drone. So at that point, it's beyond visual line of sight. So we had to go through the special permit, or in states, it would be the waiver, right, for beyond visual line of sight.
Right.
Okay, so here's the calculation. If we talk about acceptable risk, this is the calculation formula they gave me. So they had a rating, which if you fly in an area based on, there's a density of population per square kilometer, that gives you your location's risk rating. And then there's an airspace rating. And then there's your drone equipment rating. So if you add ABC together, it gives, a number to TC to say, are you in low risk or high risk? So we thought if we go to the lake, open space, population is probably 0. There isn't going to be any houses down there, maybe a random boat here and there. We would be in low risk. But it came back as high risk because the calculation is not just the airspace you fly. They have a bubble where you have to calculate your response time in terms of minutes of if something goes wrong. If you have a flyaway, you lost visual, whatever goes wrong, you have to give them a reasonable process to say, okay, it takes me 5 minutes to figure this out, or call airspace emergency to report flyaway. So that 5 minutes times the maximum speed of your drone, that gives you a radius. That radius becomes your bubble. So that entire bubble justifies your risk level, not where you want to fly. So they're saying, okay, if you have a worst case scenario, in 5 minutes, your drone can, let's say, travel, 1,500 feet at that point. So it could go straight up 1,500 feet, which puts you in controlled airspace, and that skyrockets your risk level of your operation. So because of that, you have to justify what's called in-air detect and avoidance strategy. So you have to have some kind of device on your drone that can detect, like Herman said, birds. What happens if birds get close by? So you have to have something on the drone 360 scanning, aircraft, birds, anything in the air, and effectively avoid it. So that's what we had to go through to get the permit. And it was a lot of pages of, boring, going back to my day job, right? Dealing with government documents. I had to go through a lot of pages of that to get the permit, which we ended up doing, but acceptable risk. Now, is that acceptable risk level? I don't know. I don't think it is to me. I think it's too high.
Well, there's acceptable risk, but there's a few other things in there that I look at. They talking about right away and like the amount of objects, or what we would call flying in the area, like giving right away. Like right away, who gets the right away?
Who would give the right away? Yeah,
right, because that comes like, I look at this and I'm like, this is like bringing, what is it, the horse before the before the cart, or whatever, which one is it? A cart before the horse? I don't know. Because we haven't even finalized remote ID, and we're talking about right away and stuff like that, and beyond visual line of sight, at this part 108. And I just thought that was interesting when I read this article.
I wonder if the industry, because this is an industry event. Yes, I wonder if the approach is, you ask for a lot more, right? And the FA probably won't give you everything. They start discounting, but you've got to always start from asking more, because you won't get it all anyway.
Right.
So you've got to meet somewhere in between.
True. I just thought that was crazy, because I'm like, when they start talking the talk that they talk, I use the word verbiage. When they start speaking this verbiage that they speak, I'm like, what are they gonna have in the airspace? Like one thing going that way, one thing going that way, another thing going that way.
Well, no. It like they have here in New York. How they have that drone highway from Rome, New York to what other destination is. That highway will be designated for that specific type of drones or specific type of drones. You have to heed way to those.
I understand what you're saying. And I understand the whole thing that I've seen with the whole thing of UTMs.
Yeah.
The problem is that when we start talking, and we talked this before, is about where is it going to, fixed site to fixed site, because that's how that's going to work.
Right.
That, it can't be that I want to go anywhere I want to go. And that means that there goes your highway. Your highway becomes a regular street now.
I understand that, because
it's not a highway anymore.
I understand that, because in between that highway, you're going to have a recreational pilot. You're going to have a Part 107 pilot. You're going to have a professional pilot from Canada or Europe, and they're going to need to fly in that area.
Understandable, but I'm saying there's going to have to be from one fixed site to another fixed site.
Yes.
It can't be wherever we want to go. Okay, for instance, like one of the sites where we are over in at the job we're at over there with those company, I can't forget about the name, but we have an issue where we're getting FAA clearance, and there's a jail across.
Yes,
we are.
Yes, which has
you didn't drop any contrabands.
Which have
you can't even get over the building.
You can't get over the building.
You can't even get over the building. The
where
drone
we
won't
are,
go nowhere near it.
Yifei, where we are is the prison is right here. We can go inside the prison perimeter, which is just inside the property we need to shoot, but it's not letting you go over or anywhere near the prison wall. And if you take off from an area inside that perimeter, it only allows you to fly out.
Right.
You can't fly back in.
You cannot fly back. You can't back up. You can't do anything like that back in, but we're making it work. We have to, because it's a job.
And there's an actual manned aviation corridor
right above us, yes.
Going above us.
Which is usually 5 to 600 feet. Sometimes they come through about
No, they're like
450.
much higher than that. they're,
But
they're much
we,
higher than that, and it's like there's a DHL courier that's going back and
yes,
forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth,
yes,
and I'm like, that could possibly potentially be someday what they're talking about. You
right,
know,
right.
at
You
what
would see
level,
delivery
what
drones
altitude?
passing
Well,
over.
if you wanna hear about a funny site to fly, we have a solar farm client, and one of their farms is almost next door to the military parachute training site.
Oh,
And
boy.
the solar farm tend to do their inspection in the summer when activities are actually high for the military parachute training. And they told that, so every year I have to negotiate with D&D to get permission to fly there. Which made sense because one of the years, one of the parachuters actually landed on one of the solar panels.
Wow.
That's how close they are.
That's crazy. You know, now here,
Good thing
getting
it's
back
not
to
a
beyond,
crocodile
but
farm.
yeah, for
No, so
real.
our flight schedule has to be, I have to coordinate with them. Our flight schedule can only happen when they're not doing any training.
You know what? Getting back to flying beyond visual line of sight. You know what my concern is? I know they're going to have a certain set of parameters for distance wise, but what about for the recreational flyer or the Part 107 pilot? That
What
here's my
about
perfect example. You know this, Yifei, and you know this, Herman. On certain days, you can see your drone further than other days. And my question is, how would flying beyond a visual line of sight affect me? For example, on a sky like this with clouds, I could probably see my drone maybe 300 feet away, 400
And
feet
depending
away.
on the drone you have, right? Depending on the size, the color.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
that's
it
true.
were Phantom against, like nice
Right, if you're
puffy
flying-
clouds, I'd
Gone.
lose it in just a couple hundred meters.
Right, but if you're flying a Matrice 350, you might
That's a
well
totally
take that a
different
quarter of
story.
a
Yeah.
mile.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to dictate this?
No
Well,
one,
see-
I mean, at least in Canada, no one, like, it's arbitrary. It's the pilot decision making.
Well, see, I don't think that they were worried so much about can you do it. They were more worried about your situational awareness.
Yeah,
And you don't have it when the drone is that far away. That's the thing. You
As
know
a
where
pilot,
it is.
now, I mean, okay, rules aside, as a pilot, do you want to send your drone that far away? Not on your, I mean, if it were on my own property, that's a different story. I know what's on my property, right? But if it's, in urban environment above other buildings and homes, are you comfortable doing that?
Oh, well, you know what? Let's and let's keep it 100, and I'm going to be real on this. And this is about the mentality and the learning experience of flying a drone, and I'll tie it to myself. When I first got my drone, right, I looked at the cost and stuff like that, and what it costs to get into the whole thing. And once I purchased the drone, the thing is now you want to know how it works, get it up in the air, and what can it do? And then after a while, you gain the confidence to be able to move it further than where you can touch it.
true.
And then further than what you can see.
And then after a while, it becomes further than where you can see it. And I think that is some of the things that help some people become better pilots. And now I got me and Lawrence are talking, and it's like, we noticed that don't you notice that when you fly your drone a lot less further than you did when you first started flying? Yeah, because you were curious and you were exploring. It's like you were that young bull out there trying to run around and see what's going on. Now you're that old guy. It's like, yeah, I know what that is over there, and I know what that is. I'm good. I can move over there at a nice pace and take off from over there and see it instead of flying to it to see it. And I think
mean,
that's
those are all true. One thing I find about the rules is, are the rules designed to manage or regulate people with common sense? Or are they there, or can they, regulate people who either don't have common sense or don't have enough experience and just said, okay, let me get it up in the air and see what happens?
Yifei, rules when it comes to anything are never about the law-abiding person or citizen. The rules were always designed to curb the person who was doing the illegal or the nefarious act. But rulemaking, because you don't know how to catch someone who's already committed the crime, you make the rules about the person who is not going to commit the crime.
Right.
And the reason why it's a crime or it's illegal is because they're not following the rules. So, I mean, you can make all of the rules till the cows come home. Rules only mean that you don't want anything to happen.
And they don't stand for much if you don't have enforcement.
Yeah, well, you still will have people who the rules will curb because of their integrity. I mean, I'm hoping that it's not dead completely integrity. Some people still have it.
Our industry are not people who, either like us talking about this or come to the show, contributing and learning and trying to do what's right. The threat for our community is those who don't care, who just go do it.
You're right.
Are there enough enforcement? I find it interesting because one of the concepts for philosophy is how things should be, and then we have reality, which is economy, is how things are, the way things are. So there has to be a balance between, it can't be just about how things should be, but it also can be just how things are. Can we find the balance in between?
You know what? If there was more about enforcement, then I think there would be less rules and less regulations. We do need rules, we do need regulations. But to the point of where you're standing on my back and asking me to do a push-up.
Yeah. I agree.
It's a little bit, it's almost impossible, guy. You're too heavy, So, I mean, when you start doing that, it becomes a situation where you're crippling. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot now. But what, like Lauren's talking about beyond visual line of sight now. Beyond visual line of sight, we don't even have remote ID.
True.
And I'm quite sure everyone has seen that video about remote ID and what they and it's funny. I'm one for taking apart proposals and stuff and these scenarios and stuff that guys come up with. But that scenario that they had there with that softball game between the leaders of two nations with all the security that they had at this game.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If I'm not mistaken, in that area, I don't want to be the guy that is that guy that does that, but when you start getting into the map and talking about where that field is located, right? And the amount of health facilities and hospitals located in the area, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
But the field is the red dot on the bottom.
Right.
And those are all the healthcare facilities and the H's of the hospitals in the area. They needed to drone, they needed to fly a drone with a splint in there for this guy to split in the second base.
I know. I saw the situation.
Let's keep it real and let's make it make sense.
He had all those health facilities near him, and they flew a drone in with a splint.
They had a drone that flew in there to bring pizza so they could carb load, but you went after the guy who you thought was trying to capture video of the place with a racing drone. I like to make it make sense. And I hope everyone saw that and left their comments on the FAA's video. I thought it was cute.
Well, on that note, we're just coming up to 6:30. And I do have to leave. It's been a blast. Thanks, guys, and I
Thank
hope
you for
hope you
coming.
guys will have me back at some point.
Yifei, thank you so much
Yifei.
for being on. I just put the link to AlteX Academy. If you're in Canada, Toronto area, stop by. They have 70 acres, guys. You can act like you don't know how to fly a drone and have them take you out back and show you really how to do it.
But check it out though. The link to Ife is in the description, guys. Check out the description.
And Drone DJ, what time
Everything
you come
is
on?
in there.
Your Drone DJ Friday mornings at what time, Yifei?
10:30 Eastern
At
time.
10:30 Eastern.
Oh, sorry,
time.
10 to 10:30 Eastern time.
Okay, so if you can sneak away and catch that, like
Yes,
I
make
do
sure you
sometimes
guys
at
check
work.
that out.
Yeah, come
Um,
say hi.
Yes, please
Yes,
stop
please,
by.
guys, go by and check that out and show some support.
Thank you so much for coming on. We
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
you.
Much appreciated. Have a good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Okay,
That
and
was
with that,
good. That was great.
that was very good.
I enjoyed having her on. Her information is in the description below, guys.
Yes.
On AlteX Academy. If you go down in the descriptions, you'll find all of that. The link to her, everything that has to do with her. You can get her information. She's on DroneDJ. Very good live stream that they do. They talk about some of the same things that you guys want to know about what's going on with drones. They cover everything, and they cover everything that's actually going on in the unmanned community. They talk about
Yo,
the same things that you guys want to know.
I fixed it.
You fixed it. And they cover everything. How'd you fix it?
Can you hear me, Herman?
Yeah. Yo, I gotta find out what's going on here.
Hold on a second.
Something needs to be muted.
I need to mute the stream, but I cannot hear Herman. So I almost fixed it.
Almost fixed it.
I thought I fixed it, but apparently not. I have full audio now. I don't know what the hell's going on, but Murphy's Law.
Whatever you did, you gotta reverse it.
I know, right? Listen, I'm gonna have to do a couple of test streams.
Whatever you did, just reverse it.
Reverse.
Maybe it'll work. No, don't do it now, because now you're muting yourself. You're still muted. Yeah, you did. Hold on. I'll unmute you. I can't. Whatever it is that you did. He did it to himself, ladies and gentlemen. Don't fix anything else. No. You're muted. No one can hear you. Yeah, no. Sign out and come back in on the computer. Just don't stop touching stuff. Don't worry about it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll fix this problem here. Lawrence is having some operating difficulties there. I don't know if I would call it technical, but you're still here. Yeah. All right, there you go. But yeah, that talking about beyond visual line of sight, you know, that is something that I think we got a long ways to go before that, you know, ironing that out on what it actually is going to look like. Because the companies that are doing it are still doing it under waivers and exemptions for certain things for takeoff inspection. But we'll see where that goes from there. Okay, Lawrence is coming back in now. I just hope you guys can hear me, because I can't hear myself. So
And I got it. Check
Okay.
audio devices. You
Stop
can hear me
touching.
again.
I can
I'm
hear
not
you.
touching nothing. I'm not touching nothing. That's it. I'm leaving it like that.
Now, where's your picture?
Oh, now you're asking a whole lot.
Oh Lord, no!
No, I got it. Hold on a second.
Don't tell me he came back without the picture.
No,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
good. I'm good.
All
I'm
right.
okay. I'm back. I
Now,
won't touch
now
nothing and for another 26 minutes.
you can hear me.
Yes, I can hit not through the
Okay, no problem.
computer. I can
All
hear you
right.
through the
So,
Bluetooth.
got you. So now
Yeah,
we
getting
we
back to where we were.
right we talked about that when we were talking about the beyond visual line of sight, what it would look like, and we mentioned the fact that they can't even have something like this until they finalize remote ID. And
True.
if you watch that video on the remote ID, near the end of it, they talk about being able to use this whole elaborate scheme that they talked about in this video to be able to bring beyond visual line of sight flight. Right?
Right.
That was what they mentioned in that video. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I misquoted, or maybe I saw wrong.
No, you are right. That's
what
basically it.
Right.
And people have to sit down and listen to this video. If they're not asking us what they're going to do, they're telling us how it's
telling you
going to
now.
be. Yes.
Yeah, they're
You're going to
telling you.
have UTMs. This is how it's going to work, and this is how we would like to try and integrate you.
Right, but you
whether
know what's
Go ahead.
the problem I have with all of it is that they use a lot, and I say this again, and these guys don't realize this. This is important because it catches on, and it becomes a mind feeder. The verbiage that people use.
Yep.
They use a lot of things like challenging, and it's challenging, and it's challenging.
Yeah.
And they use that a lot, and they kind of get people to buy into the bullshit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not challenging. We've been proving it since day one for how long?
Exactly.
But the DJI marketed the Phantom series in places you can't even fly now anymore.
That's true. Yes.
Some of the original Phantom series,
the
Grand Canyon, and just stuff like that. So when
volcanoes of Hawaii,
we start talking about things that are challenging. We used years back. We mentioned about guinea pigs and how guys were guinea pigs, and I'm quite sure. And I'm not the only one, so let's not even sit here and say that I'm the only one that's doing it. But we've all flown beyond the visual line of sight, and we made it back safely.
Yeah.
Did you disappear again, Lawrence?
No, I'm here. No, I'm
all
here.
made
I
it
was
back
just
safely.
typing. I'm just typing it. I'm just putting in the FAA video.
Yes. They talk in that article about risk and and stuff like that. And yeah, there's some risk. Of course,
Right.
there's risk in anything.
Of course.
They haven't ironed out anything, and I'm going to move on. No, because we like I said, we talk about a lot of stuff here. Excuse me.
It's all right.
I don't know if you noticed, but we went from trading tree pollen to grass.
Yes, I know. My eyeballs feel it every morning. I get up and I get that crud in the corner of my eye. Yeah.
And yeah. Whew. I was noticing it from yesterday. But yeah. We have I guess a new acting administrator for the FAA. You know, so what is it? Deputy Secretary Paulie Trottenberg, and we mentioned before that she was in line for it, but she's been selected as the aviation's acting the FAA acting administrator.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up a picture of her now.
Yeah, she's replacing Billy Nolen that we also announced that he was stepping down from the position
of the FAA, who, by the way, the individual before him stepped down too during the last administration. So I'm wondering if there's some kind of pattern. These people see something happening. Here she
Well,
is.
well, I think that these
One
gentlemen
sec.
go on to bigger and better things, but also Catherine or Kate Thompson, she will be serving as the FAA's deputy administrator.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
Rothenberg. You said her name is
Uh,
Rothberg. What's her name?
no,
Last name?
Trotten.
Oh, Trottenberg. Okay, I apologize for massacring that. I didn't have it in front of me. I was trying to go
Yes.
on memory.
And like I said, Kate Thompson, she was going to be the deputy administrator.
Okay.
She is replacing Brad Mims, who will be moving on to a senior position within the Department of Transportation.
Okay.
So, as you know, Ms. Trottenberg has, several years of in the public sector that includes positions with different levels in the government, and she served as New York City's transportation secretary.
Okay. Well,
Or
she is coming in.
commissioner, I should say.
She
New
is
York
coming
commissioner.
in with a shitload of experience
Well, yeah, and some
dealing
people,
with large agencies.
well, yeah, because she has government uh as well as political, but
And see, this is the part
she's
of the
only in
story.
transportation and not really in aviation.
But see, this is the part that gets
And,
me a little worried about her. You said the key word. She has political experience.
well, these are jobs that if you don't see this, I keep telling you guys, if you don't, you won't.
Yeah.
You don't, you won't. And that's with everything, I tie this back to, like I said to you before. I grew up in a union background in construction.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, you're not.
True.
If you don't, you don't eat. If you
Yeah,
don't
you're
talk
right.
politics, you don't eat.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, I
So,
get it.
so yes, it does help in those positions, but the problem is that a lot of people would look more so for aviation experience, and I think that's one of the issues that they were talking about, because the gentleman who was supposed to take over for Billy Nolen, they questioned his aviation experience, and that's why he withdrew his his nomination for the position.
Well, I wish them both luck. I mean, in their ventures. I mean, he's moving on to a company that's doing big things.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because we can actually tie that into, because like I said, Billy Nolen is has stepped down last week from the administrative position. That's why now Pauline was
Trottenberg.
Miss Trottenberg was able to. I have a problem with the way those letters line up to be able to pronounce it properly. Yeah, Miss Trottenberg has been.
Hi, Laura.
I'm not saying that that's why she got the job, but she's got a lot of credentials. She's, and she's worked under the the Clinton, not Clinton, but the Obama administration.
Obama administration, yes.
Yeah, and with Billy Nolen, we spoke about this as well on a previous show. Billy Nolen is going on to the air taxi manufacturer Archer Aviation.
Yes.
He has been hired as their safety operations guy. So basically what's happening is Billy Nolen was hired to oversee the safety operations
Right.
in their development of the midnight eVTOL
Okay.
Air taxi. Now, this announcement was made on Tuesday. that they were hiring him as Mr. Nolen to the post of their safety the chief safety officer. So like I said, he's going to oversee the development and the safety and the development of that the eVTOL. And it's funny that this gentleman stepped down from the FAA administrator and stepped right into this position, which is which I think was smart, because
I agree.
and this is the reason why I say this was smart. At the AUVSI's exponential, where everyone expected to hear Mr. Nolen speak more about beyond visual line of sight flight, and as well as to hear him speak on remote ID, he focused most of his attention to our conversation on the urban air mobility and the blueprint that was put out there by the FAA to advance the urban air mobility.
Okay.
And like I said, we've been talking about this for a little over a year or so now, 2 years now. And I hear a lot of naysayers. And we got bills that not only propose the taking away from drones from people who fly drones to work with, people who use drones for public safety. We're looking at bills that are looking to stop people from flying in different cities here in the US. How long before you realize what's actually happening?
True. Well,
you say no. Hold on a second. You say no, but it's happening right in front of you. I don't get it. Say no, but it's happening. I think that Billy Nolen, by taking this position, took this position, I guess, to help fast track and get on track, because the FAA is really I don't want to say a disarray, but I think the FAA.
I don't either, but it feels like it when the rest of the world is catching up.
No, I don't want to say that, because yes, we are starting to fall behind on certain things, but I think the FAA is trying to get their ducks in a row, and I think that this gentleman is a perfect bridge to the organization to be able to maybe let's get a better guideline and a fast track to making this possible.
Right.
Because I watched since we've been reporting about the eVTOLs and when they expect to actually have them fly.
Yeah.
It started out with the Paris Games.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's been moved back 2 years to almost, now they're talking about 4 years.
Yeah, true.
Within 1 year.
A lot's changing. Some companies are advancing, some companies are disappearing totally off the map.
Well, no, I just think that the technology is now moving faster than the regulations.
I believe so. You have a bunch of people and companies out there in the world that want to create and fly eVTOLs. You have the anti-drone tech that people are creating out there to keep people from flying in no-fly zones. There's a lot of tech out there that's changing. You're right. Faster than the FAA can evolve and every place else.
You remember when I first said earlier about beyond visual line of sight? When we first heard about beyond visual line of sight, they talked about the technology needed to be there to do it. The technology is here. You're not ready to do it.
True.
You have no means of using the technology.
Yeah, just like everyone's crying for a drone with a 4/3 sensor, DJI came out with a drone with a 4/3 sensor. Oh, that's too much. Stop. The price is too high. Isn't that what you asked for?
No, I'm just saying that,
it's the same concept, though.
I'm just saying that the government regulations and government where we are right now with things as far as the FAA and just basically regulations. I think the technology is starting to, it caught up, surpassed it, and is now looking back as it's backpedaling to the finish line
Yeah, I got
on the
you.
regulations. You know, maybe some of these eVTOLs will be sitting there on a lot somewhere with plastic on them, catching dust, waiting for the regulations to allow them to fly.
All right, I'm just answering people. I'd ask them.
You
They
know what?
plan on
I'm
flying
sorry
this week.
so much about the chat tonight. We've been talking and talking and talking that I didn't get a chance to speak to anyone in the chat. Have you been keeping up with the chat?
Yes, I've been as best I can in between having audio
Late
issues.
Pilot,
Yes.
what's going on, man?
Yeah. We've been staying. I've been trying to keep up with the chat as best I can. It's almost that time. We got another 9 minutes or so.
Well, you know, I just wanted to tell you guys, in the description below, there is information that you guys can check out.
Yeah, if you miss Yifei Zhao
You know,
from
you can
Drone DJ.
Yeah, she's from DroneDJ. They do all of the stories, the news stories with DroneDJ.
And AlteX Academy in Toronto
And
or
you can
near
check
Toronto.
out, right, you can check out her company and everything. All of that is in the description below.
Yeah.
Also,
You have to watch
also,
the replay because she came in early.
also for Lawrence and I, also the description below for, you know, our what's that, Instagram and Twitter.
LinkedIn, Instagram,
Twitter.
Twitter.
You know, I never put the LinkedIn information. Maybe I should. I don't know.
No.
No, but
we're
Instagram
trying,
is
Jim's droning. We're trying to stay on top of things. That's why it was good to have Ife in here because she does at Drone DJ. Of course, they do news articles and stuff like that, and they have a live stream on Fridays at 10 a.m. and things. And it's good to have someone from another live stream that can talk shop with you.
Well, you know, it's funny because a lot of guys say that, oh, there's no women in drones, not that many women in drones. They're actually there.
Yeah.
And that same statement could be made for a lot of other people that are in drones, you know. And,
True.
There's not a lot of, I mean, you look around, there's not a lot of things in the drone industry. And to promote them and to be able to expose it to other people is a beautiful thing. But when I first met her, I had no idea that, you know, some of the things and how in depth that she was, you know, and how long she had actually been doing this.
Yes.
And her background is so deep because it goes into filmmaking and stuff like that. So, you know,
and the fact they got a brand new 70-acre
you just
property.
want to fly beyond visual line of sight.
Yes, I do. You're right. Did we say we're getting our certifications for Canada? We're going to take the test for Canada in case we wind up crossing the border north soon.
I do want to do that.
Yeah, see, have that certification ready, and we may get an invite for lunch or something. Who knows?
Lunch. That's a long lunch to go to Canada just to fly.
Hey.
Right.
I see people do a lot less here in the city.
I'll go if you drive.
I'm only good for about 5 hours straight.
Look at this. Look at here. Yeah, now
Gary, yes, she does know her stuff. She's not far from Toronto. Check out her site, AlteX Academy.
Yeah, Gary, check her out. You might be able to
meet up and go fly,
or drone over there and go fly. Or go, maybe even you might how to learn how to rescue somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just want to say we appreciate you guys for coming by and showing support. Yeah, do it. We're serious. We are planning on getting those certifications for Canada and Europe, right, Armin?
If it's possible, yes.
Yeah,
You
if
can
it's
do it.
possible. So
I mean, Europe might be a little bit, depending on where you are, might be a little bit more difficult than
right.
because I don't know. I'm
But if we
I
can get
know
to if we can
from
get over to Finland, Herman,
I know
that's a
from
bucket list for
Sean
me.
experience with I know with Sean, he had to take
She's north
uh,
of Toronto.
a flight test. Yeah, so if you're not, depending on what certification you want,
Right. If you're
you're
not
not
there
gonna
to
be
take the
able to
flight
you're
test,
gonna
yeah.
take the flight test.
True.
You
We'll
know,
work it out. We'll make it work, definitely.
you know,
Yeah, we don't have any choice.
right? That's what I'm trying to tell you.
We've
What
covered everything for the night, haven't we?
Pretty much. I mean, just that we were talking just on the fact that what Mr. Nolen is doing now, and I really believe that that's what they're doing was trying to fast track the whole, get a sense of where they're going with this.
Right. Well, if you remember,
But if they don't come up with a specific
thank you,
and
Robert
a
Keith.
sensible thing for remote ID, all they're asking for is or non-compliance, because I watched that video and that video screams, I'm not complying with this bullshit. They sent Pete the delivery drone drop pizza at the softball game so the players can carb load 15 minutes before they go on the field.
Yeah, I know.
All that's gonna happen is you gotta have what 9 and 9 when you got 18 guys that need to take a shit.
Right. After they start all that grunting and yeah, you're right. Have a great week, Waypoint, New England. We're out of here in about 4 minutes. Don't worry.
No, but seriously, well, that's all you're gonna have when you start delivering pizza to a softball game.
Yeah,
Deliver
I
it
know.
after with the beers.
Thank you. Where you can sit down and relax and enjoy it.
The play. That thing sounded just that's eating at me when you talk about they deliver. When you watch exercise videos and watch marathons and shit, they were carb loading. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. 15 minutes before the
That
game.
was trying to be funny.
Yeah, okay. No, it wasn't trying to be funny because you use it as part of the scenario.
Yeah, true. They did. They did order pizza. Yeah, and then the drone flew between the 4 hospitals and nursing places, health places.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, with the splint to deliver to someone with a broken.
The airport delivered a splint to the ball field that's got medical facilities and 2 hospitals in the area.
3. There were 3 that I saw on your map. Yeah.
Well, 2 closer than that third one. I just thought that was dumb.
Listen,
listen, and I'm all for drones to be used. We talk about it right here. And there's some of the stuff they're doing in Rwanda and Nigeria where they have infrastructure issues. And then we have places in the United States that have meet those same criteria, or the infrastructure issues.
Right.
Well, let's make it make sense. Let's be real. Now, if you told me they had a softball game near the rainforest, all right, I'm cool with that. If you fly a drone near the rainforest and they might need to helivac something in there, yeah, you might be in the way, bro.
Yeah.
But not when you got to park within a few city limits and stuff like that. Come on, man, stop.
I know they picked the worst case scenario. I could see if he was bleeding out or something, they needed to deliver blood. But a splint. Come on, somebody find a stick on the side of the road. Let's get him to the hospital.
Because he slid in the second base bad.
Yeah. How do you break a leg? That's a bad slide. If you slid in the second base.
I mean, it's not impossible. That's not impossible. You landed wrong. It's not impossible. It happens all the time. I don't know, I was going to say all the time, but it happens.
Listen, Gary's already planning for us to come to Canada. Calm down, Gary. We got to get certification.
Wow, and you know what, Gary? Write my name in the thing and get the certification and send it to me.
Oh, shit.
You're going to send me the paperwork. I'll fill it out, send it back.
The views and opinions heard tnet are not necessarily
He wants me to hurry up and get there.
And or on the panel. In the chat and or in the panel.
He wasn't
Okay.
gonna hurry up and get there, so I want him to go just take the test for me and just send me the paperwork.
I know. Herman, it's that time, bro.
Really? Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Well, we like to, once again, if you missed it earlier, we had Yifei Zhao from Drone DJ here with us, talking drones. We talked about a few things with
Yeah.
the thing. Where's DJI going with this band? What can they do with this band that's on them here?
Right.
Well, they haven't been banned yet, but what can they do about with all of this stuff? And do they really need to manufacture here? And part 108 and beyond visual line of sight.
Come on, FAA. You're slacking.
What are they doing? We don't know. We still haven't got remote ID yet. Let's see where it's going. We saw that video. Let's see where we going come September.
September 23rd. Let's find out what's up. And with that, we are out of here.
We appreciate you all for coming and hanging out with us this evening.
Thank you.
And talking drone. Thank you very much, guys.
And thank you, Yifei, for coming on.
Yes, thank you, Yifei. And with that, we'll see you next time.
With those guys.
Guys.